It took me a while to buy this set of books, these two books. And for anyone that's a Sankaran fan and has this book, they know how awesome of a book this is, or this 2-volume book set is. I mean, what can I say about this book? This is just a cool book. I've heard some negative reviews on it, but mostly people love this set because of how many different families of remedies it gets into. First of all, it's centered around plants, so it's called An Insight into Plants, Volume 1, Volume 2. And so what Sankaran did was, first of all, he starts talking about his theories and so forth. And, you know, there's some people that are into it and some people that aren't. Overall, his theories haven't helped me in my work in the sense of, like, precisely finding a remedy. But it has helped me understand remedies in a different way. And it's helped me kind of indirectly. But other people have great results. I just don't happen to have those type of results. But, from this, you know, his material. But these books are awesome still, and I'll tell you why. So, like, for example, he talks about minerals. So, like, with minerals like mercury and lead and gold and all this kind of stuff, we have a pretty deep understanding of the remedies, and they also have the placement on the atomic table or periodic chart, which gives us a kind of an overall sense of how these remedies will react, thanks to the work of people like Scholten, and then Sankaran actually came out with a book called Structure, I think. Hang on. It's called, yeah, Structure. And it covers basically the minerals. It's a 2-volume book. I wasn't as big of a fan of that particular book, but it's still, I like everything Sankaran does. Even if I don't like the material, I still like it, you know. So I just like something about the way he explains it, and you know, I can see why he has such a huge following. It appeals to something kind of deeper in our sense that's homeopathic, but it's kind of outside of homeopathy. There's a world beyond homeopathy, you know? But, so what he did was he talks about minerals and metals and elements. Then he talks about animals. So animals are a little bit more kind of obvious in how we can kind of analyze them. Like, for example, you know, fishes, they stay in the water, they've stayed in the water, or bears, or milks from, you know, animals, you know, like the milk remedies, for example, cow's milk or human milk or dog milk. It has to do with feeding and nurturing the child. So it's like things we can kind of relate to as human beings. We're animal, you know, mostly we're animal-like in a lot of ways. So we can understand and see those qualities in animal remedies too. But so back to the animals. So the animals we can understand. So what Sankaran did, he basically got, I think, Mac Repertory, or one of those programs. I think it's Mac Repertory, and he started to find common, like, so you'd get a family of remedies. So the family in this case, let's say, would be the Anacardiaceae. Anacardiaceae. It's hard to pronounce some of these names, but like here's a list of all the different plant families he did in this particular book. I'm sure in part 2 if he did other ones too. Let me check. Outside. Oh, yeah. And then you got in part 2. So for $100, you're getting all these remedies, like over 100 different remedies. And it's pretty cool. It's way worth the value you're getting out of this particular set. But, and then there's like little charts and stuff in the back that help you distinguish from one group or another. Like, here's a great chart that he has got over here on the miasms. He's also got a different way of analyzing the miasms, which is really cool. And I'm going to talk about that in a different book because he puts it in a wave function format, which is perfect for my work in harmonics and Homeopathy 3.0. So, okay, so that's it. So what he did was he went through the different families. So let's say it's Anacardiaceae, and he started discovering that like in the Anacardian family, if you look, there's like, hang on, I'll just quickly go to that section. there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different remedies, right? There's probably some other ones out there just in the plant family, but homeopathically made remedies or herbs that we use, there's about 12. So you basically start finding these common similarities between those groups. And he did other ones, and he basically, I think it was, if anywhere from like 2 or 3 or 4 of them or 5 of them or whatever, many of them had the same kind of words, he would basically have that as like a theme or a sensation in that family group. So, for example, in the Anacardium group, he, and I also like how he analyzes the remedies in an active and a passive reaction, and which makes sense. You know, there's a kind of like a, you know, the same sensation or the same kind of core, I don't even like calling it sensation, but let's just call it a sensation. I don't have the word for it. Maybe sensation is the best word for it. But there's a active way of responding to that thing, and then there is a passive way, and he nails it. I think it's very, very intuitive and intelligent, because he's not just using, he's using his spiritual mind, his spiritual sense, to look at homeopathy and homeopathic medicine and the remedies. He's not just going, you know, from this perspective of, well, how do we know? You know, it is not in the ancient texts of homeopathy. You know, it's not all uptight. There's a like a breath of fresh air kind of quality to it. But anyway, so okay, so dictionary definition of cramp. Let me see if I can find where. Okay, so the sensations and reactions are caught, stiff, tight, tension, stuck, cramps, and pressing, in parentheses. Not parentheses, but in these like brackets, I guess. And the passive reaction is paralyzed, immobile. The active is stuck and want to move constantly. And it says giving rise to motion, ameliorates, aggravation sitting, sedentary aggravates, aggravation in the house, pain on beginning to move, restlessness, concomitant. And compensation is always on the move. So there's also the compensation element to it. Really great book. Anyway, I can't get deeper into it because it's just 2 volumes. You could just go on and on, but the insights on these different families are just fascinating. I don't have number 3 yet, and that's one of the, there's volume 3 to this, by the way. And it gets into the rose family. But I mean, even when you look at the rose family, look at its instinctive nature to defend itself with its thorns. You know, it's saying something about its defensiveness, its defensive nature. Yeah, highest recommendation. Check it out. Rajan Sankaran, An Insight into Plants, Volume 1 and Volume 2.